It appeared for a very brief moment this afternoon that the Central Artery and Third Harbor Tunnel projects were dead.
The Senate voted to sustain the president's veto of the highway bill, which contains funding for these projects. That could have been the end, but in a complicated parliamentary move, Senate Democratic leader Robert Byrd set the stage for this afternoon's drama. He switched his vote, a move that opened the way for a second round of debate on the bill, debate that continues at this hour. Democratic hopes for an override seem to depend on one senator, Democrat Terry Sanford of North Carolina. Sanford at first voted with the president, but then after some behind-the-scenes arm-twisting from Senator Byrd, he said he might have a change of heart.
I think I have done my duty, Mr. President. I think I have kept my word. I think I have attempted to serve my nation. And I think now, with pressure from no one, but with thoughtfulness that came after the experience and after listening to people, I think now to reconsider.
So, to wrap up what is happening right now in Washington, the U.S. Senate has yet to vote a second time on whether or not to override the president's veto of the highway bill.
Now, as you know, in the Commonwealth, the political battle is being watched with particular interest, with so much at stake for commuters and for North End businessmen. For more on that aspect of the story, let's go to News Center 5's Ron Golovin, reporting live alongside the Central Artery. Ron?
Chet, to Boston and the state of Massachusetts, the stakes are a little more than $3 billion. And while the arm twisting is going on in Washington, there's some serious finger crossing here in Boston. The fear is what you see is what you'll get. Gridlock. And this is a light traffic night. Very light. I was talking to a Metropolitan Police officer a while ago, and he said the traffic is unusually light for this time of day. Ordinarily, the Central Artery here is just simply gridlocked in both directions and stays that way till about 6:30. Now, one of the big supporters of the bill, Mayor Ray Flynn, has predicted that in the future we may see 14-hour days of gridlock, and that by the turn of the century, unless we get some relief. And that's exactly what's going on now in Washington. Besides easing the flow of traffic, the passage of the $87 billion highway bill means jobs, lots of them. In Massachusetts, 6,800 this year, more than 15,000 once work starts full tilt on depressing the Central Artery and on constructing the Third Harbor Tunnel. That's if work starts. It is a case of getting worse before it gets better. If passed, the entire massive project will disrupt much of the life in the North End and other parts of the city until its scheduled completion, sometime in 1998, if work goes according to schedule. It is that threatened disruption which gave life to resistance, particularly in the North End.
To the pushcart peddlers and to everybody else in this area, it would ruin our quality of life for the next 10, 12, 15, or 20 years, even by their own environmental impact study. 77% of the work would have been done right where we're standing right now.
Should the bill pass in the Senate, opponents still have one trick left.
Whatever avenues to pursue, we could put a 10 taxpayer suit together and follow this all the way to the end, because I think putting the artery underground is a mistake.
Before North Carolina Senator Terry Sanford announced a change of mind, motorists reacted this way to the apparent defeat of the highway bill.
I think it's terrible. I think it's something we really need here. You waste too much time around here standing around in traffic, and we need more arteries, and we need a new tunnel.
Massachusetts Secretary of Transportation said the Third Harbor Tunnel and the Central Artery depression is critical to Boston.
The projects in this state are desperately needed. The Central Artery is an interstate highway. It is the worst piece of interstate highway in the country in terms of traffic per lane, in terms of safety. Desperately needs to be fixed.
Should the highway bill be defeated this go-around, supporters say its passage is inevitable sometime in the future, but the delay will be costly. We've already entered the construction season, and contractors will have to commit, if not to this project, then to some other project. Live from the scene of the crime on the Central Artery, I'm Ron Golovin, News Center 5. Chet and Nat.
All right, Ron, thank you. In his first speech ever on the subject of AIDS, President Ronald Reagan today declared the deadly disease public enemy number one. He told a group of physicians in Philadelphia that he favored education programs so long as they include the teaching of sexual abstinence.
To be honest with ourselves, AIDS information cannot be what some call value neutral. After all, when it comes to preventing AIDS, Don't medicine and morality teach the same lessons?
The president said the administration plans to spend $766 million this year on AIDS research and education. Natalie?
In New Hampshire, more than 24 hours of drenching rain closed roads, schools, and businesses across the state. In the White Mountain communities of Plymouth and Holderness, officials say they haven't seen flooding this bad in almost 50 years. News Center 5's Jack Harper is with News Star now in Plymouth. Jack?
Natalie, we're on the Plymouth side of the Pemigewasset River, which has been churning throughout the day. It was an angry river for most of the day, actually has started to calm down in the past few hours. Over there is Holderness, where 75 families were evacuated because of the floodwaters which rushed through their homes. The floodwaters have started to recede in the past few hours, but it'll be a while before Holderness residents can assess the damage.
That's the worst one in years by, I think it's 59 was the last, about equal to this.
Sam Baker has been up and down Holderness Road during other spring floods, but the water's never been quite this deep. You got everybody out okay?
Yeah, the ones that would go, there's a few that wouldn't, and they're still there, but they're all set.
Those who rode it out stayed, even though the Pemigewasset reached 25 feet above its normal level, better than a foot over the last big one, July 1st of '73. Others who got out in a hurry last night could only guess what the damage will be when they're finally allowed to go back to their homes.
Till about 10:30, we thought it was going to just get to a high point and then level off, but it just kept coming up and finally stayed up.
I don't know what you got left back there.
No, can't get back to it yet.
Gary Lane was luckier. By mid-afternoon, he was able to wade back to his house to check things out.
I couldn't go around the front because as I was going around, the current just started taking me right away. But I looked inside and there's water everywhere.
The current was amazing, even a half mile from the riverbanks, rolling over a bus, moving some house trailers, ripping the propane tanks from along a luncheonette. But New Hampshire officials say they're getting a bit of a break this spring. They won't have to deal with the battering ram effects of ice packs.
If we had had ice flows in the rivers, we'd have had serious blockage and we'd have much more serious flooding, I expect. But it is even a little higher than years past, maybe by a couple of feet of the way it's sitting right now.
Ice or no, the flooding does a lot of damage, and most of the people who live in the floodplains along these rivers do not have insurance. It's either very expensive or they just haven't been able to get around to getting it anyway because of the constant flooding virtually every spring. Pretty much the same situation for many communities in Maine, where the governor is declaring a state of emergency. 80 roads were closed at least for a time up there today. 4 bridges wiped out. Many communities have had to evacuate people at least for a while. As the flooding moves to the southern part of New England for the next few days, Connecticut River Valley and others could have problems of their own. For now, reporting live from Plymouth via News Star, Jack Harper, News Center 5.
Thanks, Jack. No serious weather problems in the Boston area today, but many people were shocked when they woke up and found it snowing outside. The dusting we got seemed out of place for April, but then again, Mother Nature is indeed familiar with April Fool's Day. The snow from this storm tapered off around noontime. Dick Albert will have more on what we can expect a little later in this broadcast. Now, the weather played a major role in creating some especially hazardous potholes. As a matter of fact, the long winter and the recent rains have made things so bad that the mayor's office in Boston has opened a pothole hotline. If you run into a pothole that needs fixing, the number to call is 725-3050, 725-3050 from 7 a.m. until 9. 30 public works crews are on pothole patrol every day, and they start at 5 in the morning.
The Massachusetts Department of Environmental Quality Engineering is stepping up its investigation of contaminated drinking wells in the town of Carver. The DEQE plan includes informing town officials that they will eventually have to pay for the work the state will do unless someone else is found to be responsible for the contamination. The state will establish a full water supply to homes with contaminated wells. 5 have been found so far. The state will also test and retest private wells. Surface water in the area of a closed landfill believed to be the source of the pollution. Underground water in that area, the landfill itself, and nearby commercial cranberry bogs. The Assistant Commissioner of DEQE says the testing will begin within days.
I think that we have a potentially very serious problem from what we have seen from both private well analysis and from what we know of at this time of past practices surrounding that landfill.
The Ocean Spray Company says it has tested water in the cranberry bogs and it has found no contamination. Chet?
A North Shore mother is behind bars at this hour for hiding her daughter from her ex-husband. A judge says she must give up the child, but the mother claims that the ex-husband has been abusing the 8-year-old. News Center 5's Jorge Quiroga with our report.
Virginia Lalonde ended 8 months on the run yesterday when she turned herself into Lynn Probate Court. Lalonde said she'd go to jail rather than reveal where she's hiding her 8-year-old daughter. Lalonde told New York's WNEW that the girl is having nightmares at the thought of going off with her father. Mrs. Lalonde alleges her ex-husband sexually abused the child.
It makes me angry. And I'm through being his victim. And all of them. And if I can expose them for what they are, I don't care what they do to me. But he's not going to hurt this little girl again. They're not going to silence me.
But silent she remained as to the whereabouts of her child. For contempt of court, Lalonde was taken to the women's prison in Framingham. It's believed her daughter is somewhere in New York. It was in June last year that a probate judge here in Essex County found no evidence of sexual abuse. The judge ordered that Mr. Lalonde could take his daughter on a 3-week vacation. The next day, Virginia Lalonde and the girl disappeared. Stephen Lalonde, throughout this whole ordeal, had spoken through his attorney, denying any wrongdoing.
If the child's having nightmares now, it suggests that it's only due to the fact that she's been disrupted from her lifestyle in Massachusetts, taken away from her father, and exposed to the mother's bizarre behavior in a nomadic lifestyle.
Virginia Lalonde's travels have ended in jail. Her belief that she is protecting her daughter will keep her behind bars until she decides to cooperate with the court. Jorge Quiroga, News Center 5.
That entire interview with Virginia Lalonde can be seen tomorrow night on Channel 25 on A Current Affair. Still more ahead on News Center 5 at 6, including a crisis in the nursing profession.
That report's still ahead. Also, a bill on Beacon Hill for paid parenting leave, and later some progress in treating Parkinson's disease. Dr. Timothy Johnson will join us for that report. Stay with us.
Today, you need a bank that's smart about money.
Bill, about mutual funds. What's right for me?
That's smart enough to believe in growing businesses and to give you the products and service you need.
You've got $80,000 in home equity credit here.
The bank? First Mutual of Boston. Today, the smart money's with us.
I can sell you a new Mitsubishi truck for less because our costs are less. We pay cash for our new Mitsubishi trucks, saving thousands of dollars a month in wholesale finance charges. My name is Ernie Bach. Come on down. I can sell you a new Toyota truck for less because our costs are less. We pay cash for our Toyota trucks, saving thousands of dollars a month in wholesale finance charges. My name is Ernie Bach. Come on down.
Peas. Peas again? Wouldn't it be nice to find something different than peas again? Introducing deluxe vegetables from Bird's Eye. With Bird's Eye Deluxe, dinner will never be the same.
You know where your friends are. The times we laughed, the times we cried, the times we've had a ball. Remembering when we gave our best, seems we've shared it all.
Through the winds of changing seasons, finds where you belong. For 15 years you've been the reason our friendship's strong.
Tonight, it appears that Massachusetts could become the first state in the nation to require employers to give time off to both parents of a newborn. A bill that includes paid maternity and paternity leave for most workers has been proposed on Beacon Hill. Our State House reporter Janet Wu says it's an emotional issue and politics will play a major role.
How long should a mother, or for that matter, either parent, stay home with a child after birth? Right now, Massachusetts law provides 8 weeks of unpaid maternity leave, but many pediatricians and parents argue that 4 months is the healthy minimum amount of time needed.
Once a child and a parent born in those early months, it'll last throughout that child's life. And that child, by having that bond, having that relationship, in my judgment, is far less likely to get into trouble as they become adolescents and adults.
The bill proposed today would give new mothers and fathers 18 weeks of protected leave. Of that 18 weeks, they would get 12 weeks with 60% of their pay. The cost, a minimum of $70 million a year. Who pays? Well, all employees, regardless of sex or age, would contribute an average of $24 a year into a wage replacement fund.
The voters spoke loud and clear last November. No new taxes.
And then you feel that this would be a tax?
This is a paternity-maternity tax, no matter which way you look at it.
But employers with 6 workers or more also have to pay. They would continue to provide medical and health insurance benefits to the employee on leave, as well as bear the cost of hiring a temporary replacement. Small businesses are particularly concerned with the paternity provision and say this could mean the difference of a profit or loss for them.
This kind of issue has to be addressed not on a state-by-state basis, but it has to be addressed nationally so that we don't fall behind
the other states.
If we take the lessons from some of the child care providers now, Stridewright in particular, I'd suggest, Polaroid, some of the others, they will make the argument that good child care saves them in terms of absenteeism, employee morale.
Congress is making sounds about addressing the issue, but is nowhere ready to draft a bill. Massachusetts supporters of parental leave say they can't wait. It will be a tough and nasty fight here on Beacon Hill, with one side tugging at legislators' heartstrings and business pulling at the ones controlling the pocketbook. At the State House, Janet Wu, News Center 5.
Now, as you heard, one of the provisions of the proposal would grant paid paternity leave. And that is the subject of a News Center 5 telepoll tonight. We'd like to know what you think about the issue. The question, should fathers be granted paid paternity leave? If your answer is yes, call 1-900-720-6300. If your answer is no, dial 1-900-720-6303. Again, if you believe that fathers ought to be granted paid paternity leave, call 1-900-720-6300. If you don't think so, call 1-900-720-6303. The call will cost you 50 cents, and we'll have the results of our telepoll on News Center 5 tonight at 11. This is, of course, an unscientific sampling of opinion.
The heiress trying to get back millions of dollars she donated to a fundamentalist church took the stand today on her own behalf. News Center 5's Pam Cross was in court when Elizabeth Dovidenis described how church leaders affected her life and convinced her to donate more than a third of her fortune.
Betsy Dovidenis says in the mid-1980s she was totally dependent on Carl Stevens, the pastor of the Lennox-based church The Bible Speaks. She said the church pastor was like God to me. Dovidenis says she followed Pastor Carl Stevens' advice in all family, personal, and money matters. She testified today, when he was speaking, it was Jesus speaking. I was worried I would be punished by God if I did not obey him. Dovidenis is trying to get back the $6.5 million she gave the church. The trial is in federal bankruptcy court because the church has filed for bankruptcy. Dovidenis broke into tears on the witness stand while describing how under church doctrine she disciplined her 2 preschool children. I was taught to beat my children with a wooden spoon. I was told I must spank them to break their will, even if they began to cry. She said she was told, if they got bruised or blistered, I shouldn't worry about that.
I don't want this trial to become sensationalized. The trial has to do with undue influence, and our focus is on the relationships between Betsy Dovidenis Carl Stevens and a few other individuals in the Bible Speaks.
What Mrs. Dovey-Dennis gave as her version of the relations between herself and Pastor Stevens is an almost unrecognizable distortion of what the teachings of the church are.
Although more than 100 witnesses are listed and could be called, this case probably hinges on the testimony of two. Betsy Dovey-Dennis, who wants her millions back, and Pastor Carl Stevens, who wants his church to survive this bankruptcy suit. In Worcester, I'm Pam Cross, News Center 5.
In tonight's business briefs, a merger between Delta and Western Airlines will be allowed. That's the ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court today. The $860 billion deal has been held up by a contract dispute involving union workers at Western. The merger now will make Delta the fourth largest air carrier in the world. And for the first time in nearly 3 years, the prime lending rate is on the rise. Today, several banks followed the lead of two others yesterday, hiking their prime rate 1/4 point to 7.75. The rising prime sent stock prices generally lower, though a rally by blue chip issues helped the Dow close up more than 11 points at 2316.05 on a volume of over 182 million shares.
Still to come, a little April Fool's joke from Old Man Winters. Snow this morning.
Dick Albert says we'll see a break in that action. He's next, and later in Albert's Almanac, we'll take a look at super hurricanes, and we'll have a follow-up report on a homeless couple still on the streets, still living in their car. Stay with us.
Announcing the latest development in lawn care. It's the only piece of equipment you'll ever need for a beautiful lawn. Place a call and switch to Old Fox, and you're setting New England's most respected lawn care company in motion. A team of service professionals who believe you and your lawn deserve the best treatment. Look for this brochure and sweepstakes offer in your mail, or call us soon. A lot depends on Old Fox.
Ultima 2 introduces Pro Collagen Anti-Aging Firming Foundation, a makeup with powerful treatment capacities. Its refined color system works in such perfect unison with your skin, it gives time a run for its money. Pro Collagen Anti-Aging Firming Foundation. Makeup assumes a new responsibility. Now, great beauty discoveries, your special gift from Ultima 2 at Jordan Marsh.
Mercury Sable's got the shape everybody wants to be in. And now that shape is even more affordable with 3.9 APR financing or $400 cash back. There's 3.9 plus up to $600 cash back on Mercury Topaz, Lynx, and Mercure XR4 Ti. Factory-to-dealer incentives may mean big savings on 6-cylinder Cougars, too. See your New England Lincoln Mercury Mercure dealer.
Tax shelters are going. Capital gains breaks are gone. Most deductibles aren't deductible anymore. The hard fact is, under the new tax law, I'm going to be paying even more. I need tax-free income more than ever, so I'm investing in Nuveen. Nuveen puts more money in my pocket. Nuveen. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep.
For information on Nuveen tax-free income, call your investment broker or advisor or 800-228-6000.
A little earlier in our broadcast, Jack Harper reported live from New Hampshire, where we saw some incredible flooding in the White Mountain areas of Plymouth and Holderness. We've just gotten back some pictures from Maine, where there's some pretty serious flooding,
That's
too.
right. Natalie, it was a combination of a lot of snow on the ground, very warm temperatures, and 3 or 4 inches of rain. Let's go to those pictures and see what it looked like in Lewiston a little earlier. You see the rampaging river. Now, in the area of Augusta, that is 30 miles from Lewiston, the Kennebec River, it is about 14 feet above flood level, and this could be one of the worst floods they've had this century in that portion of Maine. It's really a terrible situation up there, and right now the rivers have not quite crested. So New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont really felt the brunt of this flooding situation due to what I just said, snow melt, and very warm temperatures in the 60s and a great deal of rain in a short period of time. Many sections 3 to 5 inches of rain up there. Even in the Boston area, about 3 inches or so. And just to the south and west, we had 4 to 5 inches of rain in many, many locations. So with another potential storm, we hope that we don't have another situation where we can get a lot of rain for Friday and Saturday. The rain is beginning to end in Maine now, but even after the rain ends, there's still snow melt from the mountains, so the rivers can continue to surge a little higher before they crest, even with the rain ending. It doesn't mean that the rivers have crested. There are some problems in the Connecticut River in western Massachusetts through Connecticut, but nothing like the problems they're having up in New Hampshire and Maine. The soil is certainly very much on the soggy side, and our weather will be improving tonight and tomorrow. We look at the situation. Another storm is brewing out in the Great Lakes. This storm is out with another storm brewing. We'll take a closer look at the present situation. Let's zoom in. Here's the storm, 3 to 5 inches around the New England area, going out to sea. It ended up as a little snow, April Fool's trick this morning. But another storm over the Great Lakes could pose problems for us starting late tomorrow night into Friday. Let me show you why. We'll go to tomorrow's map, and we'll see that after a sunny start, clouds will be rolling in here, and a little bit of a cold front here, a little bit of wet snow with it. Now, by Friday, the plot thickens. Because this cold front goes east of us, we get cool enough for some cold rain or wet snow, and a series of small storms to the south could be coming up Friday and Saturday. So it could be damp and cold with some wet snow or rain developing late this week, early into the weekend, and it's April. Gee whiz. All right, let's look at the forecast now. Overnight turning colder, but it will be fair, and no rain or snow in the forecast for the night. 24 to 32 degrees by morning. Tomorrow, a nice day to start, then clouding up in the afternoon. Not too bad, in the 40s. We'd like to see it a little warmer, but we can't. Tomorrow night, cloudy in the 30s. Maybe some rain or wet snow late at night. Cloudy and cool on Friday. Some wet snow or rain possible. The weekend is a big question mark. Looks like Saturday, at least, will be a little wet snow or rain.
No. Well, it's only Wednesday, so I'm
right,
hopeful
only Wednesday.
that
Did you get a little palpitation this morning when you looked out and saw the snow?
I looked out at the snow, I opened the shade, and then I closed it and went back to sleep.
All right, still ahead on News Center 5 at 6. A homeless couple we told you about a few months ago. Well, they're back to living in their car.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You know what I do after my day job? Peter, Mummy's talking. My night job. But Stop and Shop makes it easier because they have everything I need. So I can do all my food shopping in one stop. Better yet, Stop and Shop saves me money with low prices every day, double coupons, and hundreds of weekly specials. So with all those ways to save, all the money I make on my day job doesn't get eaten up. Just a minute doesn't get eaten up on my night job.
Mommy. It's time to Stop and Shop.
At Volvo, we've been building cars for 60 years. And we've been safety testing them almost as long. Some car makers might say we've been obsessed with safety. Well, they'd be right. You see, we want to make sure our customers keep coming back.
It all started here with the legendary foods of Italy. And when Progresso came to America, we proudly continued the tradition. We're proud today of Progresso soups like our magnificent minestrone, crowded with a garden of delicious vegetables. We're proud that our hearty chicken soup is truly hearty, with large chunks of chicken, enriched pasta, and vegetables. But try all our wonderful soups and taste the pride of Progresso.
Today's high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Available at NHD's Super Hardware Store. News Center 5 is closed caption for the hearing impaired with a grant provided by Honeywell Bull.
Now on News Center 5, the